John Parker is a brand new dad, James, of a baby boy. Congratulations, John Parker.
Appreciate it, Gary. Thanks a lot, man.
What's his name?
His name's John Parker III.
There you go.
We're gonna call him Parks.
You're going to call him
He's
Park.
got a little nickname. We'll see how it sticks.
Little quarterback. Thankfully for Park, he's not old enough to realize that Alabama fans had their hearts pulled out of their chest on Monday night. Let's start there. You know, a great game. John Parker and I was talking with Adam Amin earlier, and I said this is a testament to Alabama's program. It's at a point when Alabama loses a game, it's epic. You know, I mean, it's dramatic. They don't lose very often. It's the comeback. It's Steven Garcia. It's 9-6 to LSU. It's Johnny Manziel. It's Ole Miss parading goalpost through the square. I mean, even in a loss, the greatness of the Alabama program comes through. But let's just start with the game. What a game, man.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, you knew going into it that Clemson was a good team. I think looking at their record and you know who they lost to in some of their close games, it probably were a little bit overambitious going into it. But that rematch, it scared me all along with Deshaun Watson, the kind of player he was. And then I think Dabo and his coaching staff really shined out too. They found, I guess, a weakness in Alabama and they exploited it and ended up running a lot of plays on offense. Just tired us out toward the end of the game, and something we're not used to seeing as Alabama fans. But like you said, I mean, what a run, what a season, what the past couple seasons that we've had, really the past decade that we've had since Coach Saban's been here. So it hurts to lose. And I know I didn't get to go to the game, but I know everybody that I talked to said the drive down there was so much fun, but the drive back was just terrible.
Yeah, it was long, I can tell you. Hey, man, I want to get, one reason I love talking with you is not only did you play college football, you played the quarterback position. So, I mean, you see the game through a set of eyes that not many of us, have experienced. I don't have any issue about the play calling from Steve Sarkisian at all. I thought the play calling was fine. I thought Alabama could have executed a little bit better. But here's the question I do have, John Parker. In the third quarter, when Alabama was struggling offensively, they're going 3 and out. They've got a lead, though. They're still, somewhat in control of the game. I thought maybe they could have slowed it down a little bit, huddle up some, instead of going 3 and out in a minute and 30 seconds, go 3 and out if you have to go 3 and out in 3 minutes. Save that defense. Keep them off the field. They played 99 plays in large part because the offense could not they not get a first down, they couldn't take any time off the clock. Am I right in that thinking? Is that something that you see that you say, man, maybe we could have just taken more time off the clock? Or as a play caller in an offense, you're strictly thinking about getting first downs and you play at your pace and that's the way you do it?
No, you definitely take into account the game and how it's playing out. So, if you got a lead and you're not doing well, yeah, you try to draw it out. You try to take time, and you might do it subconsciously. The players might not even know if you're doing it if you're the coordinator, but you might take an extra 3 or 4 seconds to get it to the quarterback, to call the play in. And they just think you're taking longer to decide, but really the coordinator's just taking his time, trying to let the game play out, trying to let the clock run down, run plays, call plays, which stays inbounds, or it's going to be between the tackles. With that being said, you said, I wish we could have huddled up. I think that's something that we haven't done all year, and you can't change your stripes once you get to the game.
Right.
And you get in a situation that you really haven't been in. So we haven't – I don't know that we've huddled all year. It's just something that we don't do. So when we used to call it hammer time. It's you got to hammer them down when you got the lead, and you're just grinding out the clock. Let's get out of the game with a victory. It's just when you get in there, you want to do it, but you can't change. And that's really when it really gets bad, is when you try to change your identity mid-game.
Bo was doing his thing. There's no doubt about it. No excuses. Clemson won the game. I think you'll agree with me on that. They earned it. But how big of a setback was it for Alabama when he went out?
I think it was devastating. I think what Bo has meant to the team since he got healthy and got confident and just, second half MVP for sure. He was running it. I mean, he got the ball, and I don't know, I wasn't at the game, but just me sensing it every time he touched it, it's like this guy's got a chance to break 12 tackles and score a touchdown. I think when you lose a guy like that on offense, it's kind of lets some wind out of your sails. So you got to try to quickly adapt. But when so much around one guy, it's tough when he goes down, and I think we saw that happen on Monday.
I want to ask you about Jalen because, I mean, the kid's a winner. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He has not played his best down the stretch. He missed some throws in the Clemson game. Heck, they dropped some balls on him too. But after Clemson took the lead 28-24, he drives them down. The 3rd and 16 throw to Ardarius for 15 yards was a great throw to get him in position to go for it on 4th down. Damian Harris made the first down. And then, of course, the great call by Sark to Ardarius Stewart on the lateral to Howard. But then, you know, Jalen Hurts drops back, the middle of the field is open, and he darts through there for a touchdown. So maybe he didn't play his best, but when the game was on the line, he took him down there and he led him to a touchdown.
100%. I mean, we got the game on the line, down, you got to have a touchdown, and drives them down. I mean, that's as high stress, high pressure as you get. And like he's done all season, he just kept his cool, marched the team down the field, scored a touchdown. Yeah, he missed some throws. Yeah, he's got to get better in the passing game. But I think the foundation of a 18-year-old kid that hopefully is there for 3 more years after this is the kind of thing, if you're Nick Saban and the coaching staff, you know, you've got your people in place. With this, you continue just to build your program around him. He gets better. He's going to get better in the passing game because most kids come in from high school and have no fundamentals either. I mean, he was way better than most people leaving high school in his fundamentals and just throwing it. You know, most guys get a chance to work with a Lane Kiffin developing their skills during their redshirt year, during their redshirt freshman year. He was thrust into the spotlight immediately, so didn't have time to say, okay, maybe your plant foot's just 2 inches too long, or, you know, you need to get your shoulder up another 1/4 of an inch. Those are things that you talk about in the offseason, and I think he makes some great strides between his freshman year and sophomore year. He'll get with, you know, quarterback coach and develop, and I think Sark's a great guy to do that, but I just think his whole body of work this year couldn't have been much better, besides just a couple things that he's going to work on during the offseason.
All right, let's get to Deshaun Watson because, you know, I kind of giggle sometimes, John Parker, when they say, well, these quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson give Alabama trouble. Well, they give everybody trouble. You know, I mean, It isn't just Alabama. Of course they give Alabama trouble. He's a great player, man. He can throw it. He can run it. And, you know, and the guy's clutch. You know, he is part of their team, so you can't take it away. They wouldn't have been in that position without him. But, you know, we talked about Bo Scarborough going down. If Deshaun Watson goes down in the 3rd quarter of that game, Clemson's got no chance. I mean, how good is this guy, and how well did he play the other night?
You know, he's as good as it gets. I think he's going to make a lot of money for a long time on Sunday. I think he's got it. He's, you know, just like Jalen Hurts has got it. Deshaun Watson has the same thing. I think he got robbed. He should have won the Heisman Trophy. From not only this year, but his whole career at Clemson. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want in your huddle. He's the kind of guy that is clutch, that's going to make the big plays, that makes everybody else around him better. I don't think you can say enough about him. He'll definitely go down as one of the best ever at Clemson, especially playing in a big game like that. I mean, last year he goes and loses to Alabama, has the whole offseason to think about it, the whole season this year, and finally gets his chance. And to capitalize on that chance, it's kind of a fairy tale story, something that, you know, you'd see in Hollywood. It was a great story for him, I think, from a great guy. You know, I love his family and his backstory, and as bad as it sucks for Alabama fans, you know, you got to feel good for that kid getting it done like that.
And on that last drive, John Parker, and I know the Alabama defense was gassed. I mean, 90-something plays. They wound up being on the field 99 plays. That's a lot. But it wasn't like guys were running wide open. Some of the throws that Watson made, some of the catches, Renfro going to the ground, Mike Williams was two unbelievable catches. Jordan Leggett's catch, where he just reached out and snatched it after Watson made the throw, the only place he could put it. They executed. I even with Alabama being tired, I didn't look at that game and say, well, Alabama's defense gave out. You know, I said they played their guts out. Clemson just made plays. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah. I don't think we went out and lost a game, and it's never good to go lose a game. So if you make a mental error or make a mistake and lose the game, that's not a good way to go out. But I think Clemson just beat us and wearing us down, 99 plays on defense. I mean, that's tough. Those guys on defense, and it's not like our defensive philosophy is just to sit back and bend and don't break. I mean, they're flying around every play. They're running downfield. So 99 plays later, it's just tough, and you know that on the Clemson sideline, hey, guys, they're wearing down. Let's just keep chugging, keep plugging. And they did that. They went down and executed at the end of the game when it mattered most. I think kind of talking about Deshaun Watson again, that's a reflection of him. That's saying, hey, guys, we got this. We got however much time is left. Let's just march down and go score a touchdown. That's exactly what they did. There was no panic. There was no David versus Goliath feeling at all. They were ready to go, and when the situation came up, they made them pay.
All right, John Parker, I want to pick your brain, pardon the pun, on these pick plays. Everybody runs them. Heck, when I was in high school in the late 70s and early 80s, people were running them. My first question is this. And I know it's, the officials have so much on their mind, but if a pick play is illegal, and it is, and they're not ever going to call it, then why not just make it legal? Just take it out of the rules. I mean, if it is going to be illegal to pick a guy off when it's a blatant, and rub and all that stuff, I don't care what lingo you use. A pick play is a pick play. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed in man coverage to take out the guy so the guy comes open. If they're not going to call it, why not just take it off the rule sheet, huh? Yeah,
it's tough. I think, it's why you put it in middle school, right? So it's like one of the first plays you
right.
design against man coverage, saying that we're going to run this play if we think they're in man coverage. Clemson dialed up a great play down there in the red zone, saying this is the tendency they've been running all year, and the coaches did a good job of calling it. We didn't switch well on the first time, and then they did it again on the second time. I think the second one was a lot. The one to win the game was a lot cleaner. I mean,
it was.
Their receiver ran our defensive back into our other defensive back. The first one, I think,
blatant
was a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second one, though, I think that's 100% legal. That does not need to be taken out of the game. The first one, definitely. The second one was, if you can't switch it off and you don't know what you're doing on defense, then we're gonna exploit that on offense. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, well, that's where I want to go with this, because I heard a lot of coaches and players tell me this week, well, in that situation on the goal line, you can't switch that off. And my question is, why can't you? When I was in high school, we had a call, one word call. If you were in that situation, the secondary guys could, even amongst themselves, make the decision to switch that off. I guess I'm just curious. They had success with it down there earlier in the game, and I would never question Jeremy Pruitt and Nick Saban, but why not use a defensive time out there and gather everybody over? And I know there's other things they could have done there, but there were only 6 seconds, John Parker. That was a risk Dabo took running the play to begin with. If it doesn't come open early, they could run out of time and lose the game. Why can't you switch that off? I mean, I don't get that. I don't, why do you just allow them to put themselves in a play call that is perfect against your defense? Help me out there. I'm not seeing that. I'm not buying that couldn't have been switched off.
No, it can definitely have been switched off. That was just the scheme and the play and the responsibilities for that play call. So each, defensive play has different responsibilities, and the defensive playbook's not as deep as offense is. But one of the things that the defense, if you ever go to practice, work on more than anything is alignment and formations. Okay, if they're in this formation, we got to run this play or switch it off this way. Motion comes over. These are our responsibilities, and that just happened to be the responsibilities on that play was not to switch it off, and it ended up making them pay. I mean, if we switch it off, this is easily Deshaun Watson tries to run it in, or we stop him, or he just throws it out of the back of the end zone. It was a one-man route. It was one guy we're going to throw the ball to, or it's not going to work. And you could definitely switch it off. That was just the play design, the play call. And I don't think it's anything Pruitt did wrong or Coach Saban did wrong. I think it was just the Clemson coaching staff said it worked before. Let's see if they've made the adjustment, and we'll make them pay if they haven't.
All right. Coaches say a lot of things. And, and like I said, every team that loses in a championship game says, that drives us. That'll drive us for next year. But Dabo said something after this game, John Parker, and I believe him. He said, you know what? It's our time. And we saw it with Alabama when Coach Saban got here in 2008, coming up short against Florida. The next year in the SEC championship game, they broke through, and then they won the national championship. Clemson, having been so close last year, having such a good team, watching that game, I believe that. I just think it was their time. They were ready. The moment wasn't too big, and they beat the greatest dynasty in college football. So your thoughts on that? Was it just their time?
Yeah, I kind of relate their team, and you kind of said it, to where we were when Coach Saban first got here. I mean, my senior year, we were 12-0 and lost in the SEC championship game in the postseason, kind of like they lost last year in the national championship game. They were a good team. They just didn't know how good they were, and they didn't know how to win the big game. So then when they lost it last year, they had, the stripes after that, the reps, and saying, okay, when we get to this situation again, we know what to do and know how to make people pay. I mean, we did that when we lost to Florida in the SEC championship. The next year, that 2019 went out and beat them in the SEC championship and went on to win on the national championship. So I kind of relate them to exactly where we were, and Dabo said it perfectly.
Now for Alabama, I've talked with a lot of people. There were a lot of rival fan bases that were pulling against the Tide on Monday night, and they were really happy. But you look at this Tide team, John Parker, the truth of the matter is they're going to be number one in the preseason for 2017. Florida State, their opponent in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game in Atlanta, probably will be number two. So Alabama's not going anywhere. But, to come back and do it again, to put yourself in position to be here again next year, how difficult is that? How hard will that be, even for a team as talented as Alabama is, to get back here yet again?
Well, I think it's hard every year. We've been extremely spoiled to get to the national championship, play for it for so many times, to be so good that we've been. But I don't think next year is going to have any less expectations than we have the past few years. And it's because of, the process, the systems in place, the coaching staff's there. And we're recruiting, have the number one recruiting class every year also. So there's no reason we shouldn't be number one. It's just going out and now learning from these things and saying, okay, we got to execute a little bit better. We got to do this at the end of the game. We got to do this in the second half. Those are the things you learn from, and that's how you get back to it next year. You can't just say, well, we made it. We get good recruits. We'll be there again next year. It takes a lot of work, and I know the coaching staff is willing to do that.